What is up, NFL fans? It is your boy Kevin Phillip Fox here, the host of the Legit Football NFL podcast, and I am here with my Thursday partner in crime, Mr. Adrian Mervito from Down Under. Adrian, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. I didn't expect to see my face on the screen straight away, so I'm lucky. I was in mid-season form right from the go.
Kind of fun, right?
Yeah, I loved it. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, dude. So Adrian and I are coming at you live. No producer today, so it's gonna be a little crazy, a little touch and go. But Adrian and I are building the plane as we fly it, as we love to say
It's
in
how we do.
Australia.
It's how we
As
do.
we love to
Yeah,
say in Australia. So
we do.
we
Just
have
us.
some legit headlines for you. We have a phenomenal main topic. We have our fantasy football flag plants where we'll be picking either a player at every position or three players, or depending on how the chat responds, we'll be giving you some fantasy football people that we are very, very interested in at their ADP value wise. We don't leave drafts without these guys. So, Adrian, without further ado, you feel ready to kick this off?
Let's roll.
Boop, 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 boop.
I mean,
Legit
that's
headlines.
that's better than the actual thing. Let's be honest. There.
I really think I should just do that moving forward,
From
but
here on in.
legit headline number one: Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts is out for the first 4 games. The Colts did not trade Taylor on Tuesday, opting to keep him on the PUP list, which carries a minimum 4-game absence to start the season. No team was willing to meet the Colts' asking price of a first-round pick. Taylor will miss games against the Jaguars, Texans, Ravens, and Rams. The Colts running back unit currently features Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, and rookie Evan Hull. Zach Moss, with a broken arm, very likely to not be ready for the Colts Week 1 game. Adrian, what do you make of this headline and all the surrounding hullabaloo of the Jonathan Taylor situation?
Yeah, that's an apt word, hullabaloo, because that's kind of like what I expected to happen here was the Josh Jacobs scenario where they sort of sorted out. Maybe they throw him a bit extra coin, and then he's playing week 1. I've sort of spoken about my not disbelief. That's not the word. Just lack of belief in Jim Irsay as an owner.
Yeah.
I think that, and I do think he's the problem here.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the comments he said, particularly earlier on, when he said, if Jonathan Taylor left the league, did he say disappeared from the league? He didn't say died. He said left the league
He
tomorrow.
might have said, yeah, it was very toxic, whatever he said.
Yeah, no one would, everyone would forget. You're kind of putting a personal, you're putting a bit of venom in there that makes it personal. That makes JT. He always wanted his bag, but now he kind of wants to stick it to the owner as well. So,
yeah,
very interesting approach by him. Surprised, and I was excited to hear that the Packers were in on trying to get Jonathan Taylor over. They were that mystery team.
Yeah,
It's interesting how that would have gone down. I assume they would have thrown one of our backs in as part of the trade, but yeah, and then there's reports coming out that he was asking for Waddle. So there's a lot of sort of like craziness around this.
Yeah.
At the end of it all, now they're missing Taylor for 4 games, and against teams that are Jags and Texans they're not amazing defenses, but Ravens and Rams, you're going up against decent D's, and Anthony Richardson is going to be there without his star back.
Yeah, it's really not setting up him to succeed at the start of his NFL career, which is really unfortunate because he already kind of had a little bit of an uphill climb as such a raw prospect. But that being said, Adrian, you brought it up, the Jalen Waddle news of Jim Irsay asking for Waddle in the trade is just so funny. It just goes to show you how out of touch he is. Like he's that one GM in your fantasy football league who tries to trade you, Josh Allen for like a future 4th. Sort of thing, just embarrassing. Armand in the chat. What up, Armand? Great to see you as always. Man. Yeah, man. No, I think that the Taylor injury smoke becomes fire now with the PUP news, because there was rumors that it was just contractual or it was just wanting a trade and he wasn't really hurt or he didn't really have an ankle thing or he didn't really have a back thing or whatever. Kind of feels like maybe there's a real chance now that Jonathan Taylor is not well, honestly. And I mean, even if he was and his mindset was so bad and his attitude was so bad, would they just keep him on the PUP anyways to try to give him some time to cool down?
You might be right. And that's the thing. It's because of everything that's happened. And I'm going to go back to that word hullabaloo.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know if he's actually injured. We don't know if he's just mad. We don't know if Irsay is just trying to stick it to him. I kind of don't know what is going on. And I'm glad you brought up Richardson as a raw talent because I think it was Steichen got asked if they think that Taylor's going to impact Anthony Richards' development, and he's like, "Well, not having a star back didn't impact Andrew Luck." And it's like, dude, Andrew Luck was like one of the greatest college talents of all time.
Yeah.
Anthony is the opposite of that. He's athletic as hell, but man, he ain't a polished, like he ain't a finished product. So it's going to.
Yeah, dude, no, that's exactly spot on, and it's really unfortunate because rookie quarterbacks should get all of their pieces to help them succeed,
For
and
sure.
he's not getting that. Like, he's getting significant. I mean, the Colts were already projected to be a dumpster fire before JT and this whole insanity, and Irsay's just it almost feels like Irsay every once in a while when the fire starts to die down is just he's that guy at the party who
Yeah.
keeps throwing a log on the freaking fire and it ignites, and it's like, come on, man, like
Everybody look at me. We get
yeah,
it, Ursay. We get
literally,
it,
yeah,
dude.
exactly. But I think that's a great place to leave the Jonathan Taylor thing. I guess I'll say really quick before we move on. Do you got to call your shot on whether or not he suits up, if at all, this year,
I,
or
I think he'll suit up. I think the whole holding out for, I think Le'Veon Bell ruined the whole holding out for more money. Like eventually he's just going to want to get paid and prove that he can still do it because he didn't have a fantastic season last year, mostly injury
yeah,
rise.
right?
And the only thing I'm going to say, and this is a tease for the upcoming fantasy flag pants.
Yes.
Little impressed with Evan Hull. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
I'll bring it up later,
oh,
but Evan Hull caught my eye.
that's a big time spoiler right there. But I like it. I like it. Adrian Revito. I think it might be time for our next legit headline.
Let's move on.
New England Patriots waive quarterback Bailey Zappi and currently have 0 backup quarterbacks on their roster. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. The Patriots waived all 3 of their backup quarterbacks, Zappi, Malik Cunningham, and Trace McSorley. The decision to move on from Zappi, a 2022 fourth rounder, came as a surprise considering his success as a rookie. Zappi completed 71% of his passes for 781 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 picks across 4 games with 2 starts last season. He could return as a member of the practice squad if he clears waivers. According to Albert Breer, the Patriots are interested in Colt McCoy, who was released by the Cardinals on Monday. Now, Adrian, I'm going to jump in here first because I did some research on this situation, and I don't know if this is proven or if this is actually part of the strategy here, but there's some belief, and I'm going to cite, I believe it was Mike Wright of the Fantasy Footballers who said this was sneakily the best thing the Patriots could have done for Mac Jones and his chances of being confident and because you can't have your fans chanting the backup's name every time your QB throws a pick. They've all but eliminated their competition. It's very much clear that Mac Jones, they're going to live and die by him this year. And I think if you want to figure out if your guy is the guy, that's how you do it. You isolate the variable. It sounds like from Armand, we were getting news that the Patriots have claimed Matt Corral, and
I was going to say he kind of took my breaking news.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's taking our thunder, Armand. No, we don't
Seriously.
mind. We love it. He is our breaking news.
Let's be honest.
But I think that's fine for Zach. If he's on the practice squad, that's fine. And Matt Corral is so developmental that I don't think he'll be somebody who's gonna, I don't think people will be chanting Matt Corral at the games. So
no, can't imagine.
I think this was for the best from a confidence and mindset perspective. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. His confidence, Mac Jones' confidence, took a huge hit last year. And to be honest, like the relationship, there seems like there's a lot of strain on the relationship between Bill Belichick. There was that thing where he kind of went to the media about going outside the building for coaching. And so I think you're right. They've done the right thing here. Interesting that they cut them all but put them to the practice squad. The only thing I'll say, and this is a kind of like, this is a storyline that comes up once every couple of years where it's like, oh, the quarterback's confidence, and then they build. It's like, dude, every other position in the league has a backup that is ready to jump as soon as their opportunity is called,
and like, they should be good.
And you're meant to be, you're meant to be mentally fit for this. You're meant to be ready for competition. If you can't handle a backup that fans like, kind of like, dude, if the great ones use that to drive them. So. That's my general take on this, because I'm trying to remember who it was. There was some, like Tom Brady had a similar situation where, and he's the greatest one ever, but where they really had to like watch out for his confidence sort of towards the end. And it's just like, come on, man, get it together.
It's so stupid. Yeah, no, I'm with you actually, Adrian. I'm a firm believer in iron sharpens iron. And
Yeah.
the better you are and the better your backup is, the more likely it will be to drive you. And as it should, you're right. From a mindset perspective, I have always kind of suspected, and I think this is kind of what's been reported on Mac Jones, but I've always kind of suspected he had a little bit more fragility than your average quote unquote franchise quarterback or like quarterback prospect. He kind of always seemed a little bit on that, softer side. Like, he's pouty with the refs. He's twisting dudes' ankles after the play. He kind of seems a little bit like, I'll say immature for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So maybe this is sort of like a gesture of good faith from New England. And look, they're clearly they want it to be Mac. I mean, he was a first round pick. He had a fantastic rookie year. So they're going to do everything they can to make sure that that is who is the guy at the end of the day, because I mean, it's much more convenient to work through, what's that quote? It might be like a Drake thing, or some rapper says like, I'd rather work it out with you than go start new with somebody else. Like some sort of a
That sounds
toxic bar, let's
Drake-esque.
say. Sounds
That's
like something
Drake-esque.
Drake would
Yeah.
say. But
Yeah.
I get it though. I mean, I do. Sometimes it's better to just, work on your home front than go out and seek the next new hotness, right?
Yeah. And I think, like, look, I do understand that you shouldn't have to like pander to these guys, confidence. But I will say that you kind of need a bit of damage control here, because last year was such a train wreck. And what you gave Mac Jones, it's like, is Bailey Zappi starting? Is it him starting? You have
Yep.
defensive coordinators as your OCs. I understand the gesture of like, okay, you're the top dog in here, until you prove otherwise. So,
Yeah.
and I'll pound the table for Mac Jones as rookie year. His rookie year was
Yeah.
outstanding. And if they can get him back on the track that he was there, then they're going to be like, this is going to pay dividends. But I always, like I said, I always worry about if you have to pander to confidence at all
Right.
times. Like, at the
Not a
end of the day,
good.
you need a backup
Yep.
quarterback. If he gets injured, we need a backup quarterback, right? So,
Yeah, it's definitely not a good system to just be like, protecting people's egos, and Belichick never seemed like a guy who was sort of in that. I don't know for sure that had anything to do this had anything to do with that, but Armand joked that Mac Jones' confidence was killed when Bill Belichick hired two OCs. I'd argue he had no OC.
yeah,
Uh,
-2.
it was basically just they canceled each other out and made it zero. It was basically just a horrible, ridiculous excursion of trying something, I guess. I don't know what you would even.
This to me though, this screams like this has got like peanut covered fingerprints all over it of Robert Kraft. Like, this doesn't scream Bill Belichick style to me, because
Right.
Bill Belichick is like
That's
a
true.
do your job or get out kind of
Hmm.
person. We know that Bill Belichick likes Zappy. He said as much, and I think he secretly wants to go that way. But at the end of the day, Robert Kraft, so it's kind of similar to Ursay, is very involved in the team and very involved in the decisions. And it doesn't surprise me that he's kind of, well, he hasn't publicly, but I feel like he's put his stamp here and said, listen, here's your quarterback this year, make it work kind of thing. So
Yeah. Not great. Not
the
great. But
joys
we'll
of a
see.
hands-on owner.
Yeah, right. We'll
Mm,
see what happens, right? I feel like we've done as much digging into the Mac Jones and the Patriots back and quarterback
let's
situation.
move it on.
Let's keep it moving. We got some Bills news, something I am always excited to talk about. As you know, one of our legit headlines from today: Buffalo Bills place Von Miller on the PUP and trade defensive end Boogie Basham. Von Miller will be ineligible for the first 4 games of the season. The 7-time All-Pro, not Pro Bowler, All-Pro, tore his ACL last Thanksgiving against Detroit. Miller will miss matchups against the Jets, Raiders, Commanders, and Dolphins. And as far as Boogie Basham goes, and this is where I'm going to have some stuff to say, Adrian, you better believe.
Please.
Buffalo traded Basham and a 2025 7th-round pick to the Giants for a 2025 6th-round pick. The Bills selected Basham in the 2nd round of the 2021 NFL Draft. He's totaled 4.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits across 23 career games, 0 starts. Buffalo's pass rush will be supplied by Greg Rousseau, dubbed Groot by Bills fans, Leonard Floyd, and Shaq Lawson to open the season. Adrian, I'm going to let you go because when I do start talking, the podcast, my laptop is going to catch fire, and you might have to cover me for a little
Can
bit.
I take the easy road here? Can I
Yeah,
sit back and observe? I'm
is
here.
that?
I'm here to add comment, but I want to hear you go. No, please. I
Let's
want to
do
hear you
it.
go.
Let's do it. I'll rant, and I got my buddy Joey Crack in the chat. Sad to see Boogie go, but Leonard Floyd's going to eat. I agree with that. I will say this: at the time when Buffalo selected Boogie Basham, there was one name and one name only. I had my Post-it note written down in my pocket at my job, Creed Humphrey, no matter what. He fell to Buffalo, and they didn't draft him. They drafted Boogie freaking Basham, freaking because it's a family show. And Creed Humphrey was on the clock. We're looking at an all-pro, Adrian. We're looking at somebody who's gone on to our rivals who are going to the Super Bowl and winning rings instead of us. He went to our rivals, and he's making them better every year. He's an all-pro, but, it is what it is. I mean, we got Boogie Basham. We got 2 years of subpar defensive end play. And now we got a move up 1 round pick 2 years from now for that.
Yeah, it's rough. And I mean, look, it's kind of, if you look at the headline and they talk about Buffalo's pass rush, like, I mean, I'm just gonna say, 4.5 sacks over 2 years. Like, do you really contribute to the pass rush, Boogie Basham?
Horrible. It's terrible.
And it's hard to look back. And every team has this. Every team can look back on a player that passed on and should have taken over. A bit of a. I'm gonna say, would you call it a bust? Is it fair to call it a bust?
100% bust.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that does absolutely suck. And Joe put in about Con Miller. Love that.
Can't agree with that. I see what he's saying. I mean, he tore his ACL. What do you want him to do? He can't go out there on one ACL.
Yeah,
I get it.
What? Look, fingers crossed when he does come back. If he comes back healthy, like, Von Miller's a game changer.
Absolutely, and that's part of why they kept him on the pup, and that's the other part of this headline that we should get to. Missing the first 4 games of the season, not a gauntlet. I mean, the Jets are tough, the Dolphins are tough, but Commanders and Raiders thrown in there. Buffalo should win 3 of those 4 games, and if Von theoretically comes back right after, that's a fantastic boost to the team. They did go out and sign Leonard Floyd for this very reason. Greg Rousseau really came into his own last year. Like I said, I'm going to call him Groot moving forward.
Yep.
If I say Groot, everybody knows I'm talking about Greg Rousseau now. I'll just refer to this episode.
Actually, can we do no context? If anyone joins the show that they haven't seen this episode, they're just like, who are you talking about?
Who's Groot?
I want that to be the way.
The tree from Avengers is a Bill.
Do your research. Watch the previous shows.
No, but I'm not at all upset or disappointed. I think Von can come back and contribute. I do have faith. I think if any of those sort of insane freak Tom Brady plant-based people are gonna come back, I think Von Miller has that kind of body type and health. I think he'll be the type of player who can come back at age 40 from an ACL tear and still get 8 sacks in 10 games. So I'm not worried about it. The Boogie stuff, I don't think. I think that's going to haunt me because you're right, Adrian. It's always easy to look back, right, and be like, they could have had this guy, but not when you're saying that before the pick. And I'm not alone among Bills Mafia of people who wanted Creed Humphrey to be a Bill, and now they're out scrounging for offensive line talent, scraping the bottom of the barrel. And look, I think their offensive line is going to be better this year, but you could have, should have, would have, always. I get it. I'm the first person to point fingers at the coulda, shoulda, woulda people, and I'm coulda, shoulda, woulda-ing right now. So shame on me, slap on the wrist, but
it's no surprise. But I mean, obviously the Bills should have had you in their war room. I feel like we all know that. That's public knowledge, right?
Let's make this happen, Adrian. Can you make I know you and Brandon Bean are friends. Can you make a call?
We got to pull some strings, yeah.
Can you make a call for me? No, it's fine. Also, the return for a 2nd round pick one or 2 years ago is embarrassing. You move up 1 round 2 drafts from now in the 6th. Come on, I digress. I mean, I could talk about it all day.
It's no Trey Lance, but it is. That sucks.
Thank you. You know what? You just made me feel better. Look, it happens to all teams, and it is what it is. And Brandon Bean has more hits than misses. I absolutely love him. This is one hit. If I'm grading GMs, he no longer is eligible for an A+ anymore.
Oh, okay.
He might be an A or an A-, but you can't whiff that hard. And then he recouped nothing. He recouped that's not for a 2nd round pick. At that point, I might just keep him. I mean, he's a warm body, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Look, that's fair enough. I still an excellent GM in my mind, and everyone's gonna have a little X against their name. But I hear your point. Question by Armand in the chat. How confident are you against the Bills pass rush for game 1 against the Jets? Sorry.
I still think the Bills pass rush will get home pretty frequently. I think they're going to make Rodgers' life a living hell a little bit, but I feel like that's going to have more to do with the pass coverage and, I think the cornerbacks have really turned out to be a strength. We didn't know if they had a CB2 at all with Kaiir Elam struggling, and now they have Christian Benford, Dane Jackson, and Kaiir Elam all kind of stepping up. They all could have at any point in time over the summer won the CB2 role. I do believe it's going to be Benford. And he was a 6th-round pick last year. And if he is as good as advertised, I think Wilson, if Trey White can lock up Garrett Wilson, and Benford kind of roams with whoever else is out there, and Teron Johnson's one of the best nickel corners in the league. I think if they can make Rodgers' life a living hell and obviously the best safety duo in the NFL, if they can make Rodgers' life a living hell from a coverage standpoint, I think Leonard Floyd, Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, and Poona Ford should be able to get home enough. But I don't think it's like, if I were to say confidence level out of 10, I'd say 6. Armand, I'd love to know your confidence level from a Jets offensive line perspective, because I know they're not great. So I'm confident that Buffalo will be able to get home a little bit. What about you, Adrian? You got a thought on that before we move on?
Just that, just the point you made that their line is not great and Rodgers is not exactly super mobile. I admit though that he is an absolute
he's a gamer.
competition. Yeah, it's extra gears between the ears, baby.
Definitely.
He really
you know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you know, he's put up with subpar offensive lines for the past 5 to 6 years with rotating people in every position. So you know he can do it. Confident, he's good with it. But at the end of the day, this is the only thing I'll say, because Hard Knocks and preseason looks great. And Aaron Rodgers he's still in a new system. You know, still a new system with new people, new players. I know he's got a couple of his old buddies there, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So no one freak out if he does get absolutely bombed in week 1. He did the same thing every year for the last 3. So
that's true. You're right. He's not the best week 1 performer, and geez, from a Bills fan's perspective, I do hope that trend continues. But I'm looking forward to that. I got my popcorn ready for sure. I think that game's going to be phenomenal. Adrian, are you ready to move on
baby,
to our main topic? Okay, not as good as McFadden, but it'll do for today.
Pretty good. Pretty decent.
We are planting our flags in fantasy football assets and players that we love at their ADP. Guys that we don't leave a draft with. Adrian, why don't you kick us off with your number 1 fantasy football flag plant for 2023?
All right. So we're going to go this by position?
I think we can do it however you want to do it, man. You dive in.
All right, let's dive in. Okay, then I'm not going to start with quarterback. I'm going to start a tight end. I have a flag plant here that I drafted in both our dynasty leagues, and I love him. I'm talking about Pat Freiermuth for the Steelers.
Okay.
I absolutely love this guy. So the tight end position, right, has traditionally been one where rookies don't pick it up well. And he came in with a really good rookie season. His year 2 jumped in stats quite well, like 5.5 yards to 8.3. He's in an offense that is gaining steam. Is probably one. Would it be fair to say the Steelers have won the preseason? I don't know if I'd
100%. No, their arrows are so far pointing up. That's a great call. I agree.
Yeah. So in the preseason, limited snaps, he had 2 catches, 31 yards and a TD. He's got a strong O-line. He's going to be targeted regularly. Pickett is really improved. So, I mean, I'm almost planting my flag in the Steelers in general, which is a weird sentence to say. But in specific, I'm doing Pat Freiermuth. I will have to look up what his current ADP is, but I'm taking him sooner no matter what it is.
I love that, man. And I got him at tight end 9 on my list, which if you're looking at somebody who could easily finish as a top 5, maybe even a top 3 tight end, I couldn't agree more. I love the pick of Pat Freiermuth. I don't have any knocks on it. I think Kenny Pickett is arrow up. I think he's showing that his ceiling is higher than we all thought it was.
Totally.
I kind of thought that he was going to be like a game manager, like Chad Pennington type. I don't know if you remember Chad Pennington. I thought he was going to kind of be one of those, like, you know, I'm going to hit my marks, this, that. But I'm kind of seeing he might almost have like a Tua-like ceiling, like a player who can be on schedule and can hit the throws when he's supposed to, but might also have a little bit of extra magic in there when the play breaks down, or might also have a little bit of extra magic from that accuracy, you know, from like that. Because that's the thing with Kenny Pickett is he's an on-schedule player and never seemed like he was going to be the kind of guy who created too much when the play broke down. So we'll have to see what happens. The chat is just absolutely cracking me up right now. I'm going to try to stay on task, but Joe Joe Crack is the local comedian of the Legit Football listener base. I can't read that one. I will say my tight end flag plant, because you started with tight ends, and then we'll get into a new position. But call me a homer all you want, but I think Dalton Kincaid at where he's going is going to be such a value. It's ludicrous to me that he's going as late as he's going, and he has the potential to be a slot weapon for the Bills offense. I think Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield, they haven't really done a ton. I mean, they've had great off seasons, but neither of them have really outright won the slot job. And I think Dalton Kincaid in that, I believe they call it 11 and a half personnel, with Dawson Knox playing the inline tight end and Dalton Kincaid being sort of the flex movable, the other piece tight end. I think it might be a Y. I don't know the lettered terms, but the fact that he's going to be a player who could be getting a substantial target share from Josh Allen, sign me up. Sign me up any day of the week for that. Especially with his talent, his yak abilities, his draft capital invested in him. That's 2 firsts they invested in Kincaid. They moved up to get him. So that's no joke.
Loved Kincaid. Yeah, I think that's a really good call. I think he's gonna fit really well in that offense. If I remember right, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, his pass blocking ability is not amazing.
Not 100%.
Is not amazing.
No, college, the word they use to describe him, I listen to a lot of scouting podcasts, and one of the words they use to describe Kincaid is he's a willing blocker. So he'll get in there, he'll try to mix it up.
It's half the problem.
But he's not necessarily moving people, if that makes sense.
No, but the willingness matters. That matters a lot, because to do the dirty work, to me, means you're a team player.
Yeah, and he's going in half PPRs, he's going at tight end 11. And I think he has top 6 or 7 potential easily. Ooh. And he's kind of a later half of the year investment piece. I don't really think I don't know if he'll get off to the hottest of starts.
Yeah.
But
as I mentioned, look, tight ends are one of those positions that, like if you think about the game these days, a receiver comes from a rookie year and they're kind of ready almost off the bat, like we saw with Ja'Marr Chase, we saw Justin Jefferson. The wide receivers are ready sooner, whereas tight ends seem to take a minute to get there. So again, it's kind of like if he doesn't come out of the gates hot, I'm with you on this. I'm all in that Dalton Kincaid will be a game changer, maybe next year.
Yeah, I'm a little less afraid of that because that's the one thing, right? That's the history of the tight end position is sort of what people throw that's the cold water they throw on the Kincaid fire, is that tight ends take a long time to break out. Rookie tight ends aren't very productive. This, that, and the third. I get it. I do. I just kind of feel like we might be looking at an exception here. I do know that is the rule, and I do respect that. And Mayer and Laporta and Musgrave and Schoonman, I'm fading all those guys theoretically, like not like as a rule, but like I'm waiting for them to become a screaming value before I buy them. But when it comes to Kincaid and his draft capital and his potential usage, I'm a lot less afraid personally. So
yeah, I love it. It's a good call.
We feeling good.
Let's move it.
You ready to move it along? What do we got next? You want to pick the next position and just keep it moving? I'm liking this flow right now.
All right, let's do it. I have to pick one of my running back. All right, I have so many running back ones. Okay, I'm gonna. Can I do 2 on running backs? You can do one as well, but I'm gonna take 2 on it because I've just got a lot of them. The first take I have, and this is like, just pay attention to this. If you listen to one piece of fantasy advice today, let it be this. If you're in a dynasty league and you're getting to your back end of your draft, your startup draft, take Evan Hull from the Indianapolis Colts. He will not be relevant this year. He, even with Jonathan Taylor out for 4 games.
Oh, I think Zach Moss, might.
He'll have some snaps, but I don't think he'll be he's not going to get a lead back role this year.
I agree. But that's true.
He's got Zach Moss in front of him with a broken arm. Deion Jackson's in front of him. But he absolutely shined in preseason. I think he's a big reason why they agreed to let Jonathan Taylor look for a trade. He's got a TD. He's this preseason, all the reports are that they love him. His 40-yard dash was 0.01 seconds slower than Bijan Robinson. He's a dual threat. This is his last 2 years in college. 2,000 rush yards, 800 receiving yards, 17 touchdowns. He's currently running back 86. So if you can get him in the back end of your drafts, I'm telling you, he will matter for dynasty. He will matter next year.
And he was right around where we were going late. I know. Yeah, you plant that flag, Adrian, because I have very much been in on the Evan Hall hype train. I was late to the party. I almost faded him. I actually had him, a little lower on my rankings than I should have. But this JT stuff, man, let me tell you, if he can just get a little bit of a head start, get some work early in his career, like start to build up a little bit of a resume, a little bit of a rapport with Anthony Richardson, I'm telling you, they're going to be looking for guys that are going to be like more fit to their locker room than, JT was. I think it might be like your ex is really toxic, so you date a safe girl. I think we might be looking, if Evan Hall can step into those shoes and be the team player and like make sure that he's doing what he's got to do, I think this could be a match made in heaven for the Colts.
See, I think it's going to be that the ex is really toxic, but the Colts are still in love with her / him, whatever you want to call it. And then they finally open their heart up to someone new, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is what a good relationship feels like." And they're going to learn.
So. I love the optimism. I hope Evan Hull is the Colts' healthy relationship that they've been waiting for all along. They can delete Hinge off their phone. Mr. Adrian, I'm gonna make my flag plant first before you do your next one, because this is one I've been saying since Jump Street. And I do want to quickly shout out, we have Evan Ingram and Gerald Everett as Joe's flag plant tight ends. Not a bad call, Joe. I'm in on both those guys if the price is right. I've been saying this. I believe you, me, and Brian McFadden did a fantasy flag plant show. Were you on that one? Maybe in like March or April? Like,
yeah,
it was a way ahead of the curve one. It was kind of us like getting out ahead of the narratives and trying to say like, and this is one I stayed with all along. This is one I didn't jump off when things got crazy. There was a little bit of an injury scare. There's been some usage scares. I'm not afraid to continue to plant my flag here. And anybody who's listening, let this be your vote of confidence to leave your drafts this coming week with Miles Sanders on your team. The talent is there. The opportunity is going to be there. He's got a rookie quarterback. He's going to be a check down guy. Adrian's covering his eyes. I'm not afraid. I'm standing here before you, a man who is willing to be wrong. And
bearing your heart on your sleeve.
Look, if Miles Sanders is wrong, Adrian, I don't want to be right. Okay. I have found love again.
You're a hopeless romantic.
I really am.
Hopeless romantic.
We got our buddy Chase back here. Chase, hello.
Hey, what up, man?
How are you? Great to see you. Happy birthday. Happy belated. He's going as the RB20, Adrian, and I think he has top 12 to 14 potential. I am planting my fantasy flag for Miles.
If you said he came in at RB14, look, I couldn't hate on that. Like, I'd be an absolute hater to say he hasn't got the potential to get there. I'm just not a believer. I will jump on board one of Joe's other ones, Dameon Pierce. Sorry. Stud. Yeah. Currently RB16.
Could
he
be
was
top
in like
5.
a horrible Texans offense, and he really, really shined. I feel like this year, I was actually in our so to anyone listening to the show, Kevin and I have 2 dynasties that we're both in on together, but the legit football one is probably, to be fair, it's the more competitive, larger thing. So I had
heavy hitters.
Yeah, I had Dameon Pierce like queued up, ready to take him, and he got taken just before me. I was devastated. Yeah. And but anyway, look, I think I ended up with Aaron Jones otherwise, but I'm okay.
Good consolation prize.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm all in on Dameon Pierce. Sorry, did I take your? Did you even get to your?
No, you're all good. I did Miles Sanders. Yeah, you got another one.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay. God, I've got so many running back ones. All right. I'm gonna go negative. You know what?
You're gonna plant a hater flag.
Correct. You've always been the shining beacon of positivity that lights up this show. So someone has to bring it down a peg. So I'm saying sell on Javonte Williams. Anyone who's drafted Javonte Williams, I got bad news for you, mate. His knee tore 3 ligaments. 3. He's never been a quick guy off the jump, but he had the ability to move and be evasive. I'm sorry, but like, you can't come back from 3 ligaments and be like, okay, I'm going to be the same guy. That's part 1. Part 2 is Sean Payton is absolutely notorious for splitting running back touches to keep everyone healthy. Fantastic for the team, terrible for fantasy. Samaje Perine's there. He hasn't missed a game in 3 seasons. If you're telling me Javonte Williams is going to be RB1 and he's going to be the same guy that he was pre-injury, sorry, I'm selling. I'm selling all stocks on Javante.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely picking up
Sing
what
it,
you're
Joe.
putting down from a
Sing it, Joe.
I'm picking up what you're putting down from a health standpoint. Like definitely concerns about the but have you not been hearing the drumbeat from Broncos training camp all off season that he is looking as explosive and sharp as ever, recovered in miraculous time. He's already seemingly over the mental part of getting over an ACL tear, which is half the battle. I can't agree with you in good faith because ceiling, right? Like Javonte Williams is going late enough that he's still worth a swing for the fences pick later in your drafts. Let's pull up his ADP really quick because if that's anywhere below 24, to me, I can't agree with this flag plan.
Look, I can
I
understand swinging for the fences, but if he's not on your bench, there's a problem here.
Yeah. He's
You
going at
cannot have him as a starting.
RB24. So right at that edge, like personally, I think
Zeke over Javante.
I think at this point in time, I'm still very comfortable because we don't know yet. We haven't seen him take the field. Like everybody said, Deontay Foreman, his career was over, and he went out there and had a couple very productive years. He's beating the Achilles rumors about can you come back from the Achilles. And Javante's injury wasn't even that bad, and he's already running. And he got to me, the vibes are just too good. And also, Judy might be missing time. Tim Patrick tore his whatever. Tim Patrick, poor guy, his career ended before it started. Really,
well, bloke.
I think Javante is going to have a very real shot at being a contributor in that offense and could be getting a big piece of the pie.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's I got to tell you, it's because whenever you go against my takes here, I tend to question myself, but it's nice to have the legit football fan base. But they're all on board. Armand agrees, Joe agrees.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking by it. Javante down. Can we address one of the?
See.
I was just going to address Chase's question here. I think Rashad White will be good for fantasy. I think he had a rough season last year, but I think he's going to bounce back and hopefully make the running game a little bit more relevant.
Breece all day.
Oh yeah, come on.
Breece over Javante all day.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Javante.
Not up for debate.
Yeah, the Breece is just he could be a top 5 running back. If Breece is the guy he was before the injury, he's going to be top 5. And I'm not that nervous about Dalvin Cook. I think he's fine. Adrian, that was your negative flag plan. I'm comfortable to move on to wide receivers. If you are, I got mine queued up and ready to roll. All right. This dude is somehow, some way going at wide receiver 35. Okay. He has an wide receiver 1 finish in the past, not overall, but in the top 12. I'm a fan of his game. I was one of the few people who were screaming fade more than anybody. I was one of the biggest haters of this player in this offseason until the pendulum just swung too far. Okay. I'm all for weighted and measured takes, but when we react so extremely to a 0 touchdown season from a player who had over 1,000 yards, there is no way. And I'm telling you, I was in Twitter beef with several people, including my own co-host from my other podcast, Zach Miller. We didn't speak for 2 days because he was telling me that this guy had the potential to beat Stephon Diggs with the right situation. And I said, you're crazy. But now the narrative has swung so far against Deontay Johnson that I have no choice but to buy. Deontay Johnson, from wide receiver 35, there is no chance he finishes that low. If Kenny Pickett is who we think he is, and if the Steelers offense is moving the needle as effectively as we think it's going to, Deontay Johnson is going to finish as a top 28 wide receiver. And that's
what's his ADP?
Wide receiver 35.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, that's wide receiver borderline 4. He's not a wide receiver 4. He's just not.
No, I agree with you. The only thing I'll say is Steelers have got a few mouths to feed. They really do. So George Pickens, walking highlight reel. I've already talked to him a lot for Pat Frymuth. They had a rookie, Calvin Austin, who really shined in preseason. I feel like he's going to come in there. Deontay Johnson looks good. Amazing. It's a lot of mouths to feed. That's all.
I'm not afraid. Bring it.
No.
Deontay Johnson, for some reason, Look, his talent is crazy. He scores highly on Matt Harmon's reception perception every year. He's a great route runner. He has pretty decent hands. He's had stretches of drops in his career, but historically, he's got good hands. Stop the slide. We have just gone too far in our hashtag stop the slide. We've just gone too far in our hatred for him for some reason as a community, and it's the 0 touchdowns. Statistically, it's ludicrous that he had 0 touchdowns last year, and he had I want to say he had over I might even be 1,100 yards. I think the most yardage in NFL history without a touchdown. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. I bet he gets one week 1. Rip the Band-Aid off.
I love it, and I didn't mention they've also got Allen Robinson, but I'm not really high on him. He didn't do great for the Rams.
Yeah,
man called out Darnell Washington. He's glorified offensive lineman, but I am excited to see him play.
I like Washington. Yeah, I think he'll be.
Yeah, he'll
be a fun tight end too, for sure. Yeah,
totally. Okay, love it. And now I have to call out because I didn't plant this flag, but I've planted it almost every show since. Calvin Ridley. Joe called out Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
My feelings on Calvin Ridley. My flag is there. I actually tried to trade a 2024 first for Calvin Ridley, and I couldn't get him.
Damn. I would have taken that. I wish I had Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I was very upset about that one. Okay,
sweeten the pot. You can make it happen. You need to have Calvin Ridley on your team.
I really pushed. I actually did sweeten the pot. I can't remember who it was that friend of the show that I was trying to get him off, but they're going for this year, so I understand.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. Just go cry in the corner.
Yeah, let it ride.
All right, I'm gonna jump on. This is not a hot take. Everyone knows this guy's a stud. But Chris Olave, I still feel like he's getting underrated. So he's wide receiver 12, which to me is insane. This guy,
I think he'll be a top 7, 8 guy.
I have to say, right? So yes, I do. Actually, to answer your question, yes, I do. So
I like it.
He had a 27% target share, fifth in the league on target share last season. He had the second best rookie season of any Saint in history. He had Offensive Player of the Year votes, and that was with Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston. He's now going to get Derek Carr, who I think we both in on Derek Carr. If I remember right,
will be talking about Derek Carr in a little bit. So
yeah, okay. Well, then I won't say anything. So in on Derek Carr, and I think Olave is set to absolutely explode. Not to mention that, and I talk about this a lot. It's one of those underrated facts. They have the easiest schedule in football this year. Number one.
Yeah,
I mentioned it last week. So
actually, will you do it again? Will you go down the list of you guys? For the listeners who don't know how ludicrous the Saints schedule is. Yeah, go down the list really quick if you don't mind.
So this is who the Saints opposing quarterback is through this season. Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, CJ Stroud. Trevor Lawrence is the first elite down they play. Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Desmond Ridder, Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Baker Mayfield, and then Desmond Ridder. They have one elite quarterback to verse.
Yeah, that if they don't win 9 to 10 games, then that's a problem. Then they were let down by the organization, by the quarterback, by something. That
team projected at 9.5.
They should win 10 games. They really, really should. And I love going down that list. And so yeah, Olave should eat. It's a great call. And projecting a sophomore wide receiver, that's already a good little spike. They usually have better sophomore years than rookie years. Who's already elite and who's already being drafted as a wide receiver 1 to take a leap again and to outperform that ADP, you definitely are in some sort of, I'll say you're in some brave waters, but I support you. I'm with you.
I would put Olave. I mean, like you said, he's already getting drafted as some people's wide receiver 1, but I will say that he could be 5 or 6, wide receiver 5 or 6 this year. And I just feel like 12 is disrespectful because he had such an outstanding rookie year.
Yeah.
Without Derek Carr. Yeah, correct. I've always said this: the great ones make it work, no matter who your quarterback is.
Yeah.
But as a rookie, you need a good quarterback. I think
it helps. Helps a great deal.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a phenomenal Chris Olave analysis. Again, if you're not in the chat, you're doing yourself a disservice because Joe Crack is just setting the chat on fire with he's so funny. So Yeah, Armand, you're right. They should win 12 games. It'll be interesting to see. I am ready to make my quarterback flag plant, and I'm just going to piggyback off of everything that you just said because
Late, I mean.
Derek Carr is going absurdly late in fantasy football drafts, almost free. If you end up stacking the uh, Martini PK, showing some love to Joe Crack, saying Joe Pye is on point. If you don't grab an early round QB, which is what I recommend doing this year, I recommend Josh Allen in the second, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes in the second or third. I was a big late round QB guy back in the day, but I think that the upper echelon of quarterbacks has just become too overpowered to ignore. So I'm personally very in on the early round QB hype train. So if you miss one of those guys, fear not, because you can get Derek Carr extremely late. Let me confirm the ADP. I'm pretty sure it's like 20 or later, if I recall
Ridiculous again.
correctly. Yeah,
I'm so on board with this take. While you're looking it up,
yeah.
People just forget some of these seasons where he's just balled out. He has such a high ceiling. Even now, I'm really, really excited to see what he does with the Saints.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't mean to sound too crazy here, but it's possible he's going undrafted.
Wow. So
It
that's
does. I don't. They don't have a consensus half PPR ranking for Derek Carr at ADP on the website I've been using.
let me have a look what
So
I've got on here. I got QB 21.
21, Adrian. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
This man,
that should be.
he very rarely ever finishes his career outside of the top, 16 to 18 range. And I mean, this is the best supporting cast he's ever had. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Kendry Miller, Jawan Johnson, Rashid Shaheed.
Love
Come
Juwan
on, man.
Johnson.
I don't think there's any way Derek Carr finishes lower than quarterback 16 with that stacked. And the schedule. I mean, they should be carving these teams up.
It matters so much. It
Yeah,
matters.
absolutely.
Actually, if you want, this is just a flag plant in general, right? I'm going to throw some love to a bit of a rival here. Fantasy Pros has a strength of schedule based on your position for this
Yeah.
year. So effectively saying wide receivers will overperform what the average should be. Like, and the Saints are just like 5 stars in just about everything. They've just got such an easy schedule.
Yeah, it's cupcake. 100%.
Tink and dunk, Derek Dump.
Yeah. Oh
Love
my
it.
God. I am telling you, I have to, we're trying really hard to keep these shows on the rails these days. Shout out to Pops, Pops of legit football. My literal father is in the chat, Martini PK, but I'm talking about legit football's father, Brian McFadden. We do want to keep the shows on the rails, but man, is our chat just on fire as always.
It's hard not to dive in, isn't it?
I'm sorry, but we are nothing without you guys. You guys are brilliant. Adrian, give me your quarterback flag plant.
All right. Once an episode, I put on a Homer hat. You know that, right?
Oh, let's go. It's time.
Do you know where I'm going?
Do you think I don't know where you're going? Talking about Homerism?
But Jordan Love, QB 26 to me is ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah.
The top rated offense of the preseason. I know it's the preseason. I do understand that. But this guy's got such a high ceiling, not to mention one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. So if you think about if it hits, right? If it hits, and I'm talking to the dynasty owners here. Yeah. If it hits, this is going to be Bengals style offense where they're going to be together for with the same weapons the next 3 to 4 years. He had some crazy chemistry going with Romeo Doubs, who was the number 1 rated wide receiver of the preseason, the number 1 defense of the preseason. I mean, the Packers aren't getting talked. I'm going to say it because I'm getting back on board with. I said last week that I'm back on board with the Packers, and this season might not be a write-off. And even with the fact that they were trying to get Jonathan Taylor, I know that's I'm kind of reaching at straws here, but like that to me says they're going to set up for the next couple of years around Jordan Love, because to pay Jonathan Taylor and to give up the draft capital it would take to get there, to me says that they believe in him. You got Watson, Doubs, Reed, all taking defensive eyes. Like Jordan Love, I'm telling you, he's going to throw some absolute dimes this year. And I'm just saying that I'm not saying he's going to be QB5. I'm not saying he's going to be QB10, but QB26 is way too low.
No, I love this. I think a big component of flag planting is that they need to be moving up the board, right? They need to outperform their ADP. And I don't see any world where Jordan Love is down there in the 26 to 32 range with the weapons he has and the likelihood that Green Bay's running game will keep things moving. And I don't know how much I believe in their defense. They don't have a bad defense. I think they kind of have more of like a
On paper, it's fantastic, but it's Joe Barry.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of more of like a 12 to 16 range. So they'll very likely need to overcome they'll get in some shootouts, no question, I think. And we'll see if Love is equipped to handle those. But regardless, increased opportunity equals increased fantasy points. That's just how it works. Chase, I do want to quickly explain flag planting. We're choosing players to plant our flag in. We believe in these players, or we don't. We're planting flags and takes that are extreme, that we're trying to predict where players will finish in relation to their average draft position in fantasy football.
It's a metaphorical flag. We're not violent people.
We're not actually finding these people and stabbing them with flags.
Correct. Yeah.
Family
friendly show.
Got to represent for Geno Smith, big man on campus at WVU. Gotta love Geno Smith. Purdy over Love? I think I'd take Love over Purdy, but I like them both.
Yeah.
Adrian,
what's
I love the
Jordan
Love pick.
QB 16. Geno's at QB 16. That's
he'll be a QB 1. That's a good flag plant. I would have done that one if I didn't do Carr. Carr is just more disrespected. He's more disrespected than Geno, straight up.
I agree with you.
Adrian, do you have any last minute free agent flag plants that we didn't get to before we tie a bow on this brilliant Thursday episode?
I don't have. I'm going to show some love for your Bills here.
Thank you.
That Baby Cook is ridiculous at RB27.
Dude,
I've said ridiculous a lot. What's a better word for this? Because this is just disrespectful. Is probably the word I'm looking for. RB27.
Blasphemous.
Come on.
Yeah.
Brandon Beane has insisted that Allen is not going to run as much. Now we hear that every year, so I'm not like banking on that. But we know that they love Baby Cook. Ken Dorsey said he's got 3 down potential. And he's in the top. So the Bills have been the top 3 scoring offense for the last 3 years straight. And he can catch the ball. Give me a break, RB27.
I really love that call. And I mean, while we're at it, I was ranking my Bills ADPs earlier that I love. I would literally plant a flag metaphorically in Josh Allen.
Literally.
Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Baby Cook, Dalton Kincaid, and Gabe Davis, who's going at wide receiver 36. Post-hype sleeper term was invented for Gabe Davis. He is the definition of a post-hype sleeper. He was supposed to break out last year. He was supposed to be a top 24 wide receiver. We all saw the game against Kansas City in the playoffs where he scored 4 touchdowns. Boom. He kind of falls flat on his face. He does have a nice little resurgence with some good games here and there. Enough spike weeks to finish as a higher wide receiver than he felt like when you had him on your team. But he earned a C on his chest, Adrian. And that means something in Buffalo. There's a culture there. And
I'll buy in on all of your takes here except for Gabe. Sorry.
You think he's going to be lower than – you think he's going to be a wide receiver 4? Being Josh Allen's wide receiver 2? You do?
Yeah.
Let's make an on-air bet.
You got it.
All right, $20. I take over 36.
So what's the so his ADP's wide receiver 36?
As far as I know, I'll double check it. Just 100. Dude, thank you for the money. I wish I did more. But I will be happy with 20. I don't want to alert the IRS.
I've actually got him. So I'm looking at Fantasy Pros, a wide receiver 40.
Oh yeah, even better. Well, I'll stick with 36 because I'm confident.
Right. Over under 36. I'll take the
36 and a half. So I get 36 and under. You get 37 and higher. Okay, $20 on air. So Chase, don't ever do what me and Adrian just did. That's called degeneracy, and it's not cool.
And just for when I win, I'm talking $20 US, not $20 Australian dollars. Lay the terms out.
None of that watered down stuff. Oh, I like this. I like this. I would say for whatever it's worth, I don't think it's quote unquote smart, but I love it for you're a Bills fan. Part of fantasy football is having guys on your team you like to watch, and Diggs is awesome. I would still take Jefferson personally. I would maybe have Diggs as like my wide receiver 2 or 3. Jefferson's just could have a 2,000-yard season. But that was our show. Adrian, thank you for everything, man. You brought the energy today. I do really feel like this was, for whatever it's worth, more on the rails than usual. I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear that.
And I do believe we did not ignore our brilliant contributors in the chat who literally are the reason why we do this. So thank you guys. Joe Crack, Pops, Chase, Armand, the GOATs, man. I'm telling you, legit football is nothing without you guys. So thank you. Adrian, let's keep crushing our drafts, man. I took a look at your team on our league. I'm very impressed. You've done a good job for your first real year being invested in fantasy. I'm proud of you.
I think next year's my year for what it's worth. I've doubled up all my rounds picks, so I'm looking at competing this year, but next year's the year. Um, I will say one more thing just before we wrap it up is that we're exactly 1 week away from being able to preview real football, and I couldn't be more excited.
Dude, let's next Thursday's show, man. That's gonna be what
Yeah,
that is. We're gonna be previewing Lions Chiefs as our main topic. We'll probably talk about some other fun stuff too. But guys, this has been awesome. Thank you again, chat. Thank you again, Adrian. We miss you, Anthony. We miss you, McFadden. We love Jimmy Ray. I'm just giving him a blind shout out because he's the GOAT. But we'll catch you all next Tuesday. Thank you for watching. This has been Legit Football. I forgot we don't have a producer. I have to end this. This has been Legit Football, and we are out.